do. Children roasting on an open fire. Merry Christmas, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to the first ever and last ever episode of Slot Channel News. So many things going on in the papers this week that affect all of us in the Slot Channel community. Probably the biggest story of all, and the cause of the YouTube share price dropping 90%, is Brian of Denver being imprisoned for 242 years for allegedly flipping or dipping. Well, it looks also like there's the biggest kept secret in show business has been leaked. It's not Area 51, but there is somewhere called Slot Channel City. So you guys know all about this, don't you? Yeah, you haven't told us? Well, I had the pleasure of meeting, we'll call her Miss X, who was an employee of Slot Channel City for 6 months. She refused to come on the show, sadly. She's had many, many death threats about coming out and spilling the beans on what happens in this unique Malibu complex set over 30 acres. But I did manage to have an interview with her off camera, and I kept a transcript of what went on. So please do pay attention and see what you think. She was visibly shaken. She was a very brave girl for coming out and doing this. So this is how it went. I said, thank you for coming on the show and braving the inevitable death threats. You've worked in Slot Channel City for 6 months now. What's it like? She said, I actually work in Brian Christopher Towers on the 32nd floor. Wonderful views and a great vegan buffet every day. Well, I said, I've heard that his driver brings him to work in a Rolls Royce every day. Is there any truth in that? No, she said, no. Mr. Christopher, or the Big Rudy, as we like to call him, is actually very environmentally conscious. He comes to work by skateboard with a big bag of bread so that he can stop and feed the duckies on the pond in the morning. He's a goody-goody. So I said, well, that sounds idyllic. Are all the channel bosses who live in this 30-acre security patrolled community this perfect? She said, I'd love to say yes, but no. Take Slot Cracker, for example. He has Maine lobster flown in twice a week and sits eating it in his Humvee whilst his staff are left to starve. And another thing, if you don't comment how lovely his hair is every day, you're fired. Ain't it? I'm shocked. Gets worse. This is what she said. She said it gets worse, not me. She said, Easy Life Slots and Slot Traveller converted their private jet into a mobile pole dancing club. The dancers don't get paid, they just get a signed photo of Manny and Joe at the end of their shift. Cheapskates. I was shocked, but you worked, I said to her, you worked in these wonderful offices. It must have been nice working near the lady slot channels. They must be lovely. Well, they were, she said. But then last summer, Armani sponsored both Diana Ivani and Erica Slotworld. One day they arrived at work in the same dress. It was carnage. Jimmy Choo shoes, Louis Vuitton bags flying everywhere. Security had to separate them. Well, I said I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away, Miss X. Well, could you tell me about a typical day? You sent to me an email and mentioned a church. Sounded a bit odd. At this point, she took a deep breath. She was visibly shaken. I gave her some tissues and asked her if she was okay to go on, and she said yes. She said, it's so hard to talk about. Every day, they have a service in a large room with a giant buffalo gold machine at the altar. She calmed herself here. Vegas low roller said a few words, and at the end, I said yes. At the end, what? At the end, they all bow and shout, hand pay! That's freaky. I'm flabbergasted. That's shocking. Well, I've got to end this interview shortly, I said. But lastly, I said, or should I say, finally, tell me about Raja. You know, people always have a go at his success, and he's got many, many haters. He must be awful. She said, no, Scott's lovely, kind, gentle, and unassuming. It's the other two. I said, you must mean Brian of Denver and tea. She said, yes. They make Scott sleep in a closet under the stairs and have only let him out for group pulls. Oy. It's hot. This is emotional for me. It's horrible. They've got an electric cattle prod which they shock him with just so he says boom. Oh, that's frightening. Well, that's food for thought there. And so Merry Christmas to all of the slot channels, and thank you guys for making entertainment for us. We love it, us ordinary folk who like to tune in. And I hope to see some of you at Tampa and see you in G2E. And yeah, keep it slot family. See you guys.